Hello everybody, I'm Winter, and I have been a full-time StarCraft streamer, commentator, content creator, influencer, and all-around cool dude for full-time for 6 years, and I've been playing StarCraft II for 10 years. I lead with that, as it's going to become pretty important. As you probably know at this point, if you're on a channel named WinterStarcraft, or you follow StarCraft, well, since it's one of the most popular games in the history of not just RTS, but all games, you probably know about it. And you're wondering, a lot of people have talked about how RTS is a dead genre. You can't make money with RTS games. Blizzard came out just a few weeks, and by weeks I mean, well, it depends on when you're watching this, but just last week when we're talking about this, saying that there will be no more paid content in StarCraft II, which doesn't mean that there's no one working on StarCraft II. I've seen some posts like, who will ban the hackers? That's not what no more actively developed content means. But StarCraft II still has until 2022 minimum with ESL and competitive esports. Millions of dollars, dozens or hundreds of players, I guess it depends on how you define it. And it still is and will continue to be the best RTS game of all time, and that will be continuing. This is something else, though. A new studio, Frost Giant Studios, raises $4.7 million for real-time strategy game revival. So I'm not an expert in how much it takes to develop a game, but that's not enough to develop a huge game, but a small indie game or something like that. That seems about reasonable. Well, we're going to learn more about what that means, but I'll tell you right now, since you probably already know something about it. All of the people who made StarCraft II, and specifically made Legacy of the Void what it was, the best iteration of the best RTS game of all time. That's literal, not figurative, like they really spun it in a good light. No. They literally made the game. Yeah, so they are now on Frost Giant Studios. Many of them. Many of them left Blizzard over the last year. The last couple years have not been on an upward trend, at least in quality and priorities, in many people's opinion, in Blizzard, and that includes many of their former employees, though I'm sure they'd be quick for legal or personal reasons to say they just felt it was time to go a different direction. And that direction is Frost Giant Games. StarCraft and Warcraft veterans Tim Morten and Tim Campbell said in an interview that the real-time strategy genre hasn't gotten as much attention in recent years as other big genres like Battle Royales or console action-adventure games, but they believe that RTS games on the PC can still be a vibrant part of gaming in the future. So first, oh wait, we're going to get there. Bitcraft Ventures. Bitcraft Ventures, now you can get into your Wall Street bets and all that, but Bitcraft Ventures was founded by the co-founder of ESL, the Electronic Sports League. That's why I brought it up again. So it was founded by one of the people who built ESL, who is successful in esports, obviously, and directly tied to StarCraft II right now. And it also has investment from 1UP Ventures, GC Tracker, and I'm sure this will get some traction, Riot Games, and Griffin Gaming. So the majority or the largest investment comes from Bitcraft, but also with contributions from those companies. They'll use the money to grow the team, build a prototype for gameplay, conduct consumer research, and expand operations. Morten has said that the Irvine, California-based team has 8 employees, all who once worked at Blizzard. Those are the leads on the team, and this has a video. Aside, we're not going to watch the whole video right now, but if you're like, wow, that's a pretty cool logo, that reminds me of something. The logo was designed by Carbot, so that should give you a taste of where this is going. Ryan, maybe not a great look to start, but Ryan was the lead UI designer. He designed the game heart overlay. That's actually okay. So pretty much this video is like a hostage video where they say we really like RTS games, except They are the people who made StarCraft II. So, they're not being held hostage. This is voluntary. Kevin Dong, the lead co-op designer for the last couple years. I believe that's Jesse, right? Yes. Artist at Blizzard for 13 years. Joe Shuck. Remember, everyone worked here at Blizzard. I think the highlight, though, is going to be... Well, this is Carol LaForge, who worked on esports. She was a senior... I don't want to mess up her title, but she was working on Blizzard esports for the last 5 years, so like WCS and things like that. Also, she's the mother of Nick and Sean Plott, better known as Tasteless and Day 9. And Tim Campbell, the lead campaign designer for Warcraft 3. And then... So if you like the Warcraft 3 campaign, I think some people did. Yeah, that was him. And then Tim Morten, who was the production director and lead game designer for the entirety of Starcraft II Legacy of the Void. So, I just want to give a special shout out to Tim, who obviously I've met in person and all that. But when it came to, like, I was like, it'd be really cool if I have an announcer pack, but I didn't think it was going to happen. But I just, like, emailed Tim. I'm like, I don't know, emailing him seems kind of awkward. And he's like, no, let's get it done. That's awesome. And then, like, 2 days later, it's all happening. I'm like, I can't believe that worked. So that was pretty cool. Also, he made StarCraft II Legacy of the Void. So that's also pretty cool. I like that game a little. So, those are your starting members. The summary, though, as we've taken this long to get this far, I'm excited, and I'm trying to be concise, but I'm going to fail. In order to build another brand new RTS, it felt like the opportunity to do it was too good to pass up. But I think all of us had a lot of love for Blizzard that made it a difficult decision to go this route. It's not so much that Blizzard doesn't like RTS games anymore. It's more that it has other franchises. So that's business speak for Blizzard is not making StarCraft 3 or Warcraft 4. This is essentially, there were no plans and no production, and that's not happening. And they're not selling it to anyone. For all the people like, well, what if they sold it to people? No. Let's just put that out of our minds for quite a while. But is that a good or a bad thing? We'll talk about that as well. I knew that it was time for me to move on. And it's incredible to me, how that funding ecosystem for games has grown and continues to flourish. Tim is very good at the business speaks. One of the challenges is that RTS... So, I'll link the entire interview. There's been several interviews. They're going to be on the Pylon show soon, so check Artosis' channel. Tasteless has talked about it, and you'll be able to find an interview here in a couple weeks as well on this YouTube channel. And if you're watching on Twitch, well, watch it again on YouTube. So, I look forward to that. But, one of the challenges... So, if you have questions or comments, maybe check that out, and also maybe pass it on. So, one of the challenges is that RTS games are best played with a mouse and keyboard. Protoss players disagree. Meaning that PC is their primary platform. So, the potential audience for them isn't as big as titles that can be spread across multiple platforms. You guys can read directly on the lines here. Morten said that the new company is focused on the PC platform. Just read not between the lines, just read the lines. That's what I'm saying here. I guess I'm always suspicious when I hear people say a genre is dead. A former head of Microsoft Game Studios, now founder of One Up Ventures. I've heard it so many times in my career, and it's always been wrong. My favorite was the mid-1990s, when the common wisdom was that RPG genre was dead, and soon after, a game called Diablo shipped. Ever since we published Age of Empires, I've had a soft spot for RTS. If anyone can figure out how to bring RTS back to the forefront of gaming, I think it's Tim and his team at Frost Giant. You might be like, wait, Tim? Do you mean Tim Morten or Tim Campbell? And the answer, I assume, is yes, because isn't that fun? But as for PC technology pushing RTS games forward, Campbell said that he believes machine learning and AI will make big contributions. Remember, Tim Morten is the guy who helped organize AlphaStar in SC2 and made that project happen, essentially. This is Campbell talking. Warcraft 3 campaign designer. For those wondering, his Blizzard, if we forgot already. It'll be important. And improvements in automated coaching tips will be important. I didn't read this part before. For making the games more accessible. Oh, interesting. Frost Giant Studios plans to advance the RTS genre by applying what the team has learned from player feedback and player behavior over the past decade. The studio strategy is specifically anchored on lowering the barrier of entry into RTS, as well as enhancing cooperative campaign and competitive gameplay. The team will also empower user-generated content. This was a pretty simple one. Unparalleled team modernizing a beloved genre. Yeah. More accessible core games like League of Legends have created huge audiences ready to explore other proven core genres. Frost Giant is perfectly placed to serve the RTS core audience and expand significantly beyond it. Very excited for the opportunity with both Tims and the team. I think he just said Tim. Or Tims. But that probably would have come off weird. Morten and Campbell started the company earlier this year. They knew that Mike Morhaime, the former president of Blizzard, was starting to move into games again. Those plans weren't solidified by the time Morten and Campbell were ready to get started. Morhaime recently announced his Dreamhaven game company. I know that's a big question as well. Blizzard's former employees have spawned multiple game studios. Yeah, that's kind of what this article is, but thank you. Morten said that despite the pandemic, it turned out to be a good time to raise money. And the world now has more than 30 different game-focused venture capital firms. That is a somewhat fun fact. The company will stay small, hiring maybe a couple people in the next year. Campbell said he has worked in games for a couple of decades, starting out at Westwood Studios on the Red Alert 2 real-time strategy game. Some of you might know that one, or Command & Conquer Generals. He noted it isn't easy to work virtually while sheltering in place. Okay, boomer. Coming out of traditional game development, we're all used to being able to work together in an office. We're starting up with distributed development. It's definitely been a learning experience. So it feels like we kind of transitioned from this is what's happening to how do you feel today? And then the article kind of just ends. All right, so that's the end of that version of the article, though there are plenty. So, I'm going to split this into two videos, I know right now. First, I'm just going to summarize, I keep saying concise, summarize all these things. But quickly, don't expect anything of this in the first year. How do I know? One, because they've already said at other times, like, we're gathering ideas, we're trying to figure out what we want and how to move forward. How do I know this? Because I've met with them. And so have, I assume, but I know of some, but anyone from Cyril to Day 9. Yes, that one. To Tasteless, Artosis, and maybe you. But, they have actively and personally at length met with many of the people in RTS, which mostly means Starcraft II, which, of course, it was a little easy to reach out because I've worked with many of the people on that team before. We talked about the Starcraft II, so here's the general vibe I got without getting into too much detail. I'm going to keep failing. All the stuff that I said and many other people who really care about RTS games said at the Starcraft II community summits, which they were good enough to have and try to get feedback from the community and commentators and players in a more direct way. Pretty much all the stuff that we had criticized or we thought would be good additions to the game, they have a much freer hand than they might have with Blizzard to implement some of those things that would make a modern game more popular and accessible. At Blizzard, which is a larger and older company, it wasn't there wasn't the flexibility, is a way to put it, to implement a lot of those things. So the best interest right now of anyone, so we don't know what it's going to look like. There's no, like, you're not going to be playing an alpha this year or probably next. Starcraft II still has several years, at the very least, of professional, already contractually obligated, if you have to go that far with it, tournaments. So there's going to be pro players, there's going to be money in it, there's going to be an active audience, because even though you haven't played ladder for a while, don't lie to me, you've been watching. Maybe you take a few months, maybe a year, maybe 2, but you come back. And you keep coming back. And that is what these nerds are banking on. So, one last thing before I go into the much longer-winded, I will probably talk for an hour video, is they are looking actively for feedback. It might have felt like the StarCraft II devs and designers weren't like really responding to public feedback as much as people would like. Well, now's your opportunity. So, what do you think? Where is it going? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? Why will it fail? Why are you concerned? RTS and why is League of Legends the best game you've ever played? I don't know. Like, dislike, subscribe, leave a comment. But there's a lot. There's a lot to take in. So hopefully you enjoy. And if you want to hear me ramble for a while longer, check out that version. Okay. So now essentially I just, because I have a tendency to have this is what's happening and here's my basic reaction and information. And then a lot of the time I just keep talking for like 40 minutes, which does not make an informative or appealing video to most people who are just wanting to learn about something. But now I can let myself go. So with that, we'll probably bring in you guys. I know we're here on Twitch. I just fake it really well, don't I? Ask your mom. But we'll do like a Q&A whenever I feel like I've covered most of the stuff I want to cover. Like a more direct one. Anyways.